Hey, welcome to the Timpl content channel. You're probably listening to us here on YouTube. We've got two audience segments essentially. We help clients who are hiring. They have a lot of questions. We have a lot of experts that talk about best ways to hire. Then we have the candidate, the associate, the professional, the executive that needs to, find the right next fit. And so on this channel, we really talk about kind of both of those different but kind of intersecting topics. So I encourage you to kind of look through a lot of the content that I have here. And if you really enjoy it, subscribe, come along. I have a lot of video interviews with executives from lots of different companies to address the big issues of the day. So thank you for checking out our channel. Now today, I've got a topic here that I want us to look at. This is going to be specifically for those HR leaders, those companies that want to get feedback when someone leaves, when someone quits. Exit interviews are very important. There's an old expression, feedback is golden. You really want to get as much feedback as you can get on your business or your product or your service. And one of the reasons why you really want to try to focus on getting those exit interviews is, number one, you're going to get those key kind of turnover insights. You're not just going to make those bland assumptions like, well, it must be because of salary, right? You can actually get real crucial data as to why people are leaving. You're also going to be able to discover specifically like how much of a toxic work environment drove this person away. Was it poor leadership? Was it a manager issue? Something other than pay, right? So you're going to discover really the top reasons for departure. And yes, of course, the data does show that those are the key reasons why people leave, but you don't want to make those assumptions. One of the other reasons why an exit interview matters is that it gives you the employee perspective. It's very easy to fall into the employer perspective because that's obviously, your role as a leader. Sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect there. And I think the fourth most important reason that you want to do an exit interview is you can get that actionable feedback. And it's going to reveal that kind of real-time, insight. What can we do? What can you do to improve retention? How can you improve culture? Maybe there's some leaders that you have that need a little more coaching, and chances are that they do. So let's get into this a little bit more right now. Okay, tips for effective exit interviews. Most important, you really want HR or a neutral person. You do not want the functional manager, director, VP, in that function. You got to get that person out of there. You want to be definitely HR or someone neutral. In terms of timing, you really want to strike while the iron's hot. Meaning do it very quickly. Do it within 2 to 3 days before the last day. Right there at the end. Really, allow that candidate to have been reflecting on why they're leaving. They're still working out their 2-week notice, right? And then let's get that feedback. In terms of like where to do it, we have to find a quiet, private, confidential area that's comfortable, right? Don't put them in a room or a setting that wouldn't evoke, a sense of comfort or style, right? Let's make them as comfortable as possible. Now, in terms of the big question you probably have on your mind is, okay, well, how do I get these questions answered? What's the best way for me to approach asking them? The best thing you want to be doing there is just asking open-ended questions, right? Don't be defensive. Really just take an approach of, hey, I'm here to listen. And then if they, depending on what they say, ask good follow-up questions. So let me give you some very specific examples of some bad questions, some bad approaches that are too narrow, that might come off as a little defensive, and you're not going to get what you want. Or not highlighting, you're kind of pointing or directing someone into a certain type of answer. You don't want to do that. Okay, so number one, first bad question. Was it because of pay that you left? It's too narrow and you're assuming the issue. Again, don't assume anything. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Number two, what could we have done to make you stay? See, that is putting too much pressure on the employee, and it almost feels like you're working on a counteroffer. I'm not saying counteroffers are bad. If you're an employer and this is a star player, then absolutely, you probably should be trying to do that. But that's not what this video is about. Were you unhappy with your job? Too vague. You're probably not going to get what you want with that type of question. And the fourth question that I would really avoid is something like, do you think your manager was bad? Did you have a problem with your leader? Too simplistic. Again, not open-ended enough. What you want to do is you want to focus on something like this. These are some really good questions that you want to ask in your exit interviews. Can you share the main reason why you decided to leave the company? And it's important when you ask that question to pause. You don't have to add anything else. Just say the question and sit back and listen and absorb, and just ask some good natural follow-up questions. Second question I would ask, how would you describe the work environment here? Great one right there, right? That's going to really let them focus on the culture and how that culture impacted them. How did your relationship with your manager affect your work experience here with us? That absolutely will be targeting a management issue. You should be able to tell if there's an issue there. Number 4, were you satisfied with the professional development opportunities that you were given? That really, as an HR person, as a talent manager, that really should highlight and indicate just how good of a job are you doing at developing talent? Because a lot of people, truly, they do leave because they don't feel like they're getting what they want from their manager. That nurturing, that mentoring, the building of skills. You hear upskilling quite a lot. If upskilling is not happening, really, how really can you develop people into greater positions? And I think the fifth question, the final question I would ask would be something like, what could we have done differently to improve your experience? You know, it's not like you're like a hard press trying to get them to stay or anything, but it's a nice way to finish, I think, after you've asked those other questions. So if I had to wrap it all up, this is a great time for you to find out formally and strategically, really, how can you be making the organization better, stronger? Where are the areas that maybe you in HR should be focusing for future development and coaching of the overall management and leadership team? And I think it also sends a message to the other employees kind of across the company that HR and the company does take seriously feedback, that they do want to be better. And chances are, whatever problems that person was having, it's being experienced by others. So the sooner you start acting on that feedback right then and there from that person departing, you can potentially stave off and prevent, a mass run at the door. So I wish you best of luck. I hope you don't experience, a massive need to have these exit interviews, but it's critical that you do them. So best of luck to you, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, it's simple with Timpl.